Welcome to 86, where the nights run long and the stories hit quick. From the back of the house to the front row mix, we talk real life, hospitality, unfiltered. We off 86, baby. What's up? That's your boy Chef Vern. Hold on, let me turn this mic down real quick. Okay. There we good. It's your boy Chef Vern, and we back with another 86 episode. How's everybody doing? Y'all can see I'm chefed up, just got off my 9 to 5. And I had to bring y'all the 86 content. And I gotta also drop some news on y'all. Your boy just got promoted. Clap it up. Your boy just got promoted. And that's what it's kind of crazy because that's what this episode is going to be about. Now, I'm not talking about this specific promotion, but I've been promoted numerous times throughout my career so far. And from experience, getting promoted is the biggest pay cut you will ever take in the hospitality industry. Let me say that again. Getting promoted is the biggest pay cut that you'll take in the hospitality industry. And they don't tell you that. And at first, it may not seem like that. But let's break that down a little bit. Which is how we want to. Let's go into my experience. Let me give you all a little bit of things that I went through, things that I experienced in the field. So I worked, this was during COVID, maybe fresh into COVID, I would say like August 2020. So I'm working at a place in Alpharetta, Georgia, where I met one of my colleagues, Eli Daniel. Shout out to Eli Daniel, my guy. And shout out to Eli Daniel, that's my guy. And we get to working real well. We had some more people come on board, like some executive chefs, executive sous chefs come on board. They had built these roles for these people. And I basically put a good impression on the executive chef, and he basically was like, yeah, I think Vern should be in line to be a sous chef. So I get transferred, which was closer to my house at the time. I got transferred maybe like 20 minutes away in the Dunwoody Peachtree Corners area. Go work over there. And that was really like my first actual, like I was a sous chef before that, but I was a sous chef at a hotel and the dynamic was different. Here, I was the sous chef and I was like the man, because the environment was crazy. The environment needed that at that time. So when I came on board, it was supposed to be a chef there, but the chef had quit the week before. So it was just me. I was sous chef acting the chef. So I didn't have any formal training. I didn't have any guidance, any knowledge of the building. I just had to just play it by ear, just learn as you go, trial by fire, if you want to say. And that's when I learned, that's when I had my first taste of what being the man actually looks like. Like trading time, trading days, long hours. It was times where, staff is used to going home by 6 o'clock. And the chef before me, there wasn't a true structure in place. So say you a dishwasher and, it's 6:30 and, you still got dishes, they would just go home. Yeah, I'm not used to that. I'm coming from kitchens I've worked in, you make sure everything is clean before you go. So I was working my first 11, 12-hour days, 13-hour days, getting there at 6, leaving at 7. Like, that was the first time I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, I felt like I wanted to say I didn't sign up for this. Like, I thought it was going to be a little bit more structure and stability. And no overtime. Wait, sorry, and there's also more to that story. So with the whole salary portion of this episode, when I got there, I was talking to I guess the building manager, general manager, whatever her title was, and I think I understood it incorrectly, but I really believe she explained it to me poorly because they were offering me a salary position. Like, hey, you, you can do hourly at this rate, or you can do salary at this rate. And the salary rate was a lot more, maybe like $3 more than the hourly rate. And I was like 24, 25 at the time. So, still young, still trying to, learn my way in the industry. So I wound up taking the salary wage. And I think it was explained to me like, um, you know, even though you get paid, if you don't miss any days, I mean, if you miss days, you still get your same check. We don't give out overtime, but you don't gotta worry about that. It tells you gotta miss a day or something. And I think I missed a couple of days, um, like so having to go do things for family, and my check was short. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? I thought oh no, even though you don't get OT, you are paid for your 80 hours, regardless how many hours you work. You still have to work a certain amount of hours. And I was like, that wasn't what was communicated, but it is what it is. So you're really going to be trading a lot of your time when you go from hourly to salary, because you're not paid for your time. You're paid to be at the establishment. You're paid to be at the restaurant, the hotel, the senior living facility. You're paid to be there. And if somebody calls out or something happens, you are the one that has to figure it out. You're the one that has to put yourself on the line to make things happen. That's why it's so important for chefs to have great teams and teams in place where if things happen, people can be moved. There's a plan in place to where the chef doesn't have to come in on maybe his one day off during the weekend. That was just one example, like me staying like a later for dish to help them out. Times I came in early, till I came in on my day off to help clean and help cook, because we didn't have enough people and the person wasn't as confident in themselves, so I had to come help out. And even when I was a dining director at my last job, people would call out. People, had deaths in the family, and they're out for a week or two, and it's like, hey, so what we gonna do? And it comes down to, if we can't find a replacement, it's on me. I come in, I help out, like whatever y'all need, I got y'all. And that's admirable, yes. You want that in a leader. But on the flip side, it's no true work-life balance. Like I said, you aren't paid for your time. You're just paid to be at the establishment. No OT. Even though you don't get overtime, you do get quarterly bonuses. Some places do yearly bonuses or semi-annual bonuses, but bonuses are a part of being a manager. Now, the bonuses we used to get, like if we hit food calls, maybe 3 consecutive months in a row out of a quarter, or we stayed under a certain budget around for the whole year. Everybody gets a Christmas bonus, a holiday bonus, a summer bonus, whatever it is. Now, bonuses, I've gotten bonuses like $250, $300, and I've gotten bonuses like $900,000, and it's like, whoa, this kind of makes up a little bit for the overtime, especially the bonuses are tax free, so you aren't taxed on those. So it's like, all right, that's a good little trade off, I would say. Like, we don't get the overtime, but we get the bonuses. Even though the overtime can be more consistent, the bonuses are, a pleasant surprise, every quarter. So you can kind of plan for it, you can kind of expect it. And there was also something else I wanted to touch on with that. So usually you go from hourly to salary, there is a significant pay increase. You're making $18 an hour, which is around like 40,000, maybe 39,000, and you go from 50, and you go to 55, 60 a year. That's almost what did I say? $30, 45. It's almost a $6,000 to $10,000 increase in your biweekly checks. Now, think about this: a regular worker works for 40 hours a week and gets his wage, and you're working 60, 70 hours a week. Your hourly wage, even though your salary, if you divide your salary by the number of paychecks within a year, that will show you like your bi-weekly divided by 80, you get your hourly. Your hourly wage will start to decrease because The hourly is off of, the bi-weekly is off of 80 hours. If you're working 100 hours, that is past the normal threshold with making. So now you have to adjust your hourly wage to see how much you're actually making, which means you're making less. Most of the time, you're making less than your hourly employees because you're there more. So it's like, even the year you're making more, your money is more consistent. When the times are slow and you have to like cut hours, send people home, you know, even if you do go home early, your paycheck really isn't affected in that whole kind of ecosystem. I should say that's a pretty good word, ecosystem. You aren't really affected in that. But when you're there, you're essentially making less money. While everybody's working overtime and you're essentially working overtime, you are getting paid for the overtime. So your hourly wage does decrease by a couple of dollars, especially over 20, 30 hours, sometimes 110 hours a pay period. Yeah, your hourly wage definitely goes down. Now, when I worked in Hilton in the banquets and I was a banquet sous chef, I wasn't salary, I was hourly, but I was like an assistant manager. So any overtime we would get, I would, reap the benefits of that overtime as well, which was nice. I'm not complaining a lot. All wasn't nice. That definitely was nice. But I was still working. Like I was still, people would call out. I would get called in days off. I would call in 3 hours early to leave on the same time. I would go from being there at 8 o'clock to, hey, I need you coming at 4 o'clock. And it's in the morning, not afternoon, like, or even in the morning. And then I gotta be there from 4 to 9 p.m. there all day. And that's the kind of expectation when you fall into management, when you go from an hourly to a salary. It's not time anymore. You're paid to be here, no matter what's going on. We can have an event that's 2 weeks long. You're paid to be here every day. Sorry, not sorry. We need you here every day to execute this service so we can be profitable, we can be successful. We need you here every day. And that's the crazy part about it. That's the crazy part about it. And to kind of still touch on the wage, it's not really a raise. They give you access. Like most of the time, you get a new email, you get a work email, you get new uniforms, you get codes to the safe, maybe to the where the money's at, to drops. You get invites on emails and meetings, and you get it for AOR. So you get to see the more of the behind the scenes and what goes on to running the place instead of being on the front lines running the place. And cooking is less required when you fall into management. When you fall into a salary position, you aren't cooking anymore. Unless someone calls out or you're short and you have to cook, cool. Then you have a little bit of fun, but you aren't cooking anymore. Like that's not your main priority. Main priority is to make sure the station is being executed properly and everything else around you in your environment is being handled well or handled correctly or working properly, whatever terms you want to use. But that's your priority. Like, no more cooking, no more worrying about saute and grill. No. You need to worry about doing these invoices. Make sure the bread order is in. Make sure you got the Hershey order in. Make sure you got paper order in. Make sure everybody got their prep. Everything came in. Everything is fresh. Is labeled. You got safety and sanitation. You got sandy buckets. People clean. People FIFOing. You worrying about all that stuff. You got caterers that's going on. Make sure caterers get handled. You're not worrying about radio stations. Then that separates the hourlies from the salary, or that's one of the determining factors. Yeah, yeah, that's why determining factors. Oh, what else can we add? Hourly to salary, and I've been in this position. I was a sous chef, Hilton, sous chef, senior living, dining director, sous chef at restaurants. Now I'm a lead now, so I've had a 5 to 6 opportunities where I've moved up. I've seen all kinds of establishments, and the work-life balance definitely decreases. You are making more money, but when it's being measured by the time, it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. And that's all I got for y'all. This was a nice little informative one, a quick one. A quick one from hourly to salary. If you got some crazy hourly to salary experiences, let me know in the comments. Let me know on clips on Instagram, on YouTube. What else can we get out of here with? Make sure you follow the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to it. Make sure you follow. Make sure you give it 5 stars. Make sure you give it a rating. It helps the podcast grow expeditiously. You have no idea. And make sure you watch us on YouTube. You like, comment, subscribe, comment, like, in whatever order you want to do. Make sure you tell a friend about 86. Make sure you tell all your chef friends about 86. This is Chef Vern, man. I'm going to see you on the next one. Peace.